The convergence of our voices is the song of our beauty. Many voices will speak here, the song woven through diverse notes. In my very first episode of Crone Chronicles, I told the story of meeting or being contacted by 4 new siblings, children of my father, Leo. That story continues. It is 5 a.m. in Melbourne, noon in British Columbia, and 8 p.m. in London, when 3 of us meet together through the wonders of technology. It is the first time we have all spoken together. It is my sister, Judith, who I have grown up with, another sister who had only contacted me last year, and me. Later, we would be joined by another sister in France. We're on Zoom. And although we do not have each other's presence, we can see each other's faces and hear each other's voices. For the sake of we 2 English speakers, the other 2 speak English, even though their mother tongue is French. In all, we talk for over 2 hours. We are hungry to learn about each other and our past. How do you encapsulate an entire lifetime? It's not possible in the time that we have on screen. By default, our major topic is Leo, our father. His callous disregard for feelings other than his own, his many deceits. I tell my sisters about a meeting I'd had with Leo in St. Vincent, the only time I had ever been there, which was over 20 years ago. He had told me at the time that he had taken chef lessons at Cordon Bleu. Well, they laughed. No, he had not. He had taken a few cooking lessons at a local supermarket in Geneva. I had been in contact with him through his brother Bertram, and I learned that Bertram had been Minister of Culture in St. Vincent, something I didn't know when I had met him. The 2 brothers were not close, but they kept each other's secrets. It wasn't until after Leo's death that Bertram had told his Swiss family that he had met me and that he had known of Leo's marriage to my mother so much earlier. We mention our respective mothers, and we talk a little about ourselves. But there is so much more. We think that we will have a meeting in Évora in Portugal. Portugal was chosen because it was fairly inexpensive and an interesting place. Our father had ancestry from Africa, Scotland, Portugal. None of us knew Portugal. I had never been there. It turned out that only our brother, Jerome, was able to meet Judith and me in Évora. The evening he arrived with his son, we closed down the restaurant. It was only when the waitstaff had cleaned up everything and were waiting by the door that we realized that we needed to leave. The staff was too polite to ask us to go. And so we returned to our Airbnb and continued talking. Jerome, like his sisters, speaks to us in English. He had studied in London. This was when I had already moved to Canada, but Judith would still have been there, and she lives there still. Jerome is a considerate man. He drives us to the nearby megalithic sites because I would like to see them. And he shares a meal for two with me because I would like to try it. He doesn't think he looks like his father, but from the photographs I've seen of Leo as a younger man, I think that he does. His sisters have told me that I look like Leo, but neither of us have Leo's personality, or at least I don't think so. I learned that Jerome was the only one to attend his father's funeral in Athens. He will never return to Greece again. It was too unpleasant an experience. His father's body in the casket, the knowledge of that final betrayal. I did not learn about earlier betrayals. We would need a longer time to learn more about each other's lives. Judith returns to London, Jerome to Geneva, and I go to Lisbon. It is there that I meet with Laurence, fresh off the plane, tired and jet-lagged. But we are pleased to meet each other. We stay at the same hotel. Over breakfast, on that first morning, we meet a couple who is so excited about our meeting. They take photographs with us. The wife is a fan of the TV show Family Reunion. Laurence and I spend the day together in Lisbon, and we wander the streets of the Alfama district. It is a special day. Initially, I had been disappointed that the grand meeting that I had envisioned with everybody did not happen. But I realized that by meeting a brother and sister separately, that I got a deeper knowledge of each of them. They both expressed anger with their father at his death, even so many years after that. He had disinherited all his children, including his 3 Swiss children from his last wife. He had used his money to buy himself a tomb in Athens, and the rest he had given to an acquaintance, the one who had arranged his funeral. It was a slap in the face. Leo caused pain with his death, as he had in his life. In the meeting I had had with Leo in St. Vincent, he had apologized to me for leaving me as a baby and said he would make it up. I knew better than to believe that he would. I was sent a picture of Leo, taken when he was in his 60s. There is something about the expression on his face that I find uncomfortable. And I feel compelled to change this picture to reflect how I feel about him, the emptiness of his soul, the toxicity that he had spread throughout his life to the women and children he had known. Yet he has left a legacy that remains. I have sisters and a brother. The picture I made of him reminds me that he had been like a ghost throughout my life, and that ghost has been laid to rest. Although I would still like to meet the two sisters that I did not meet. During the Zoom meeting that we had, I felt a bond between us, the four of us who were there. It was as if we had always known that we were out there somewhere, each of us, and that we had been waiting for each other. It was as if we had always yearned for this connection.